Welcome to today's guided practice session. I'm super excited. Today we are doing something that's kind of hard to do. We're going to do some easy jazz piano chords, but the caveat here is they're also good. These are easy and good jazz piano chords. Actually, I can't wait to get going here. Everything we do is sponsored by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com to learn more about all of it. But check it out. Today we're going to learn some easy but good jazz piano voicings. We got my man Jacques Pepin up here in the house. Why do I have a gif of Jacques Pepin, you might ask? Because like Jacques Pepin, everything we're going to do today is super high quality and super easy to do. So it shows him making an omelet here. And what that man, that French cooking and television star, can do with just very simple ingredients, right, in an easy way, is so incredible. He's like the king of doing good with simple things. So I thought Jacques Pepin was the perfect inspiration for today's session. Of course, you can download the PDF, go to the description, or here Ian might put it in the chat if you're live, to check out the PDF. We'll have everything up on screen too, but that's yours to take home for free. So let's get to it. Look at that guy. I mean, go look up sometime Jacques Pepin omelet on YouTube. It's amazing. It truly is. Okay. So today I want to talk about 2+2 chords. These are basic jazz piano chord voicings. We've probably talked about it here on this session before, on these sessions on YouTube, but I just want to spend some time really taking these over a tune, almost like an etude. These are so simple, but so good. I still use them in my playing all the time. And they're just really good to kind of come back to again and again, because like Jacques Pepin's omelet, I'm going to beat this metaphor to death. Like Jacques Pepin's omelet, everything is of high quality ingredients. We take those and we just add them together in a very simple, easy way, but it's just chef's kiss good. So let's break these down a little bit. I have several different kinds of chords that we can talk about. We're going to run these over Alone Together, the old jazz standard. And there's going to be some twists and turns along the way, but just stay with me here, because I promise you that if you add these little simple 4-note voicings into your practice routine, no matter what instrument you play, you'll kind of have a better understanding of the skeleton of the harmony of the tunes we're playing. We'll have a really clear picture of the pretty notes involved here. So the formula is simple, but like all simple things, we can add some complexity as we go. Another great thing about these 2+2 voicings is they're kind of the base for everything else we can do. Like we can use these as sort of the basement to build our house on, right? We can do a bunch of cool counter melodies and a bunch of cool extensions and all kinds of things with these, eventually taking them to like we're playing a chorale, improvising a chorale with our harmony, but we have to start somewhere. So we'll start with these basic 4 notes. So these are rootless voicings, meaning that we're not going to have the root of the chord in the voicing itself. It won't be in there at all. If it will be, it'll be like a pretty note. It won't ground the voicing down. So let's look at our first voicing. It's a major 7 chord, and it's probably a voicing you know already. Each one of the voicings of these 2+2 voicings, I have an A voicing and a B voicing. And that's because they're built on our 3rd and 7th or 7th and 3rd. So we can just flip the 3rd and 7th or the 7th and 3rd either way, and we have a brand new voicing but with the exact same color. So on the left hand for all of these voicings will either be the 3rd and the 7th or the 3rd, sometimes the 3rd and the 6th, or the 6th and the 3rd if that's appropriate, but I'll tell you what that's all about a little bit later. Let's check out our major 7 voicing here. F major 7, our A voicing that we're going to start with today is the 7th on the bottom, and then the 3rd. Again, the left hand is all just these shell voicings, right? These 7th, 3rd, 3rd, 7th. So that's our left hand. That's the first 2. And then we add 2 on top of that, some pretty notes. Like we call this shell pretty as well around here at Open Studio. So that's the 13th D and the 9th G. So our pretty notes are usually things like the root, the 5th, the 9th, the 13th, and the 11th. It depends on what the chord is, but we don't even have to know that here as we start. Again, we're just making our omelet, right? We're just cracking some eggs. So we can figure out the chemistry of the butter and the heat in the omelet later. Right now, let's just get to it and make some good sounding voicings that are kind of easy here. So we have our 7th and our 3rd in our left hand, and then our right hand we have the 13th and the 9th. Now check it out. That's how that sounds. Here's how it sounds with the root. Familiar, eh? Beautiful sounding voicing, just gorgeous. And again, 2 on our left, 2 on our right. That's all we need to know. Now we can flip this to the B voicing. We'd simply flip that shell in the left hand. Instead of 7 and 3rd, it's 3rd and 7th. And then we add our pretty notes. Here I like the 9 and the 5. Right? Again, if we add our root, or F, little bossa nova groove, maybe it sounds great. So there it is. That's our first voicing, the major 7. Don't worry, we're going to go over all these a bunch today. So what if we wanted to do a minor 7, like a 2-chord or a Dorian sound? So same thing, 7th and 3rd in the left hand, E flat and A flat, right? F Dorian. Right? And then we can add our 2 pretty notes on top. That's the formula. Shell in the left hand, 7th and 3rd or 3rd and 7th, and then pretty notes in the right, in this case the 5th and the 9th, C and G. It doesn't have to be complicated, these things. It could be very, very simple. Like I said, I use these all the time. And you hear great pianists throughout history use similar voicings like this all the time. It's a great, like I said, home base. We can add complexity on top of that. So that's our F minor 7 A voicing, 7, 3, 5, 9. Split up 2 notes in each hand, and then 3, 7, right? A flat and E flat, the 3rd and the 7th of F minor 7, and then the 9 and the 11th on top of that. Beautiful voicing. How does that sound with the root? Just gorgeous. I mean, it's like the color green or brown, maybe. I don't know. Getting some kind of. What about that first voicing? I mean, it doesn't get prettier than that. The root on the bottom. I'll be playing some bass for you later there, so you can hear all this too. All right, what about a dominant 7 chord, like an F7? Like it's a 5 chord. So here we have a voicing you probably have heard before, or maybe you even already know it. 7th and 3rd in our A voicing in the left hand. And then our right hand, some pretty notes, the 13th and the 9th. Just like our major 7 voicing, but now we have that dominant 7, that flat 7. Beautiful. How about with the root? You know what I mean? And then our B voicing, we simply invert that left hand, so now it's 3rd and 7th. We pick a couple of new pretty notes. How about the 9 and the 5? Just like the major 7. So gorgeous, right? Let's hear it with the root. We don't have to play the root when we're comping for other people. I mean, that's all you need, right? There's our basic French omelet right there. Man, that's great. Some good eggs. All right, I'm getting hungry. All right, F7 alt. Now, this is for when we want to add a little more tension to our chords, right? Chords that we want to resolve to maybe a tonic, so of major or minor. It doesn't really matter. We have our 7th and 3rd. Again, notice, all 4 of these kinds of chords. The left hand is just 7th and 3rd or 3rd and 7th. That's all we need. And then a couple of pretty notes on top. Here I'm going to do the flat 13 and flat 9. Come on. Now wait till we add the root. You'll really hear the tension. Come on. So if this is like going, right? It's giving us that sound. Now what if we flipped it? 3rd and 7th, and then how about the flat 5? Or sorry, flat 9, flat 5. Or sharp 11, however you want to think about it. What does that sound like with the root? That is tense. That's so tense. But it's so simple. We don't have to do all these like crazy clusters and all this stuff. Just this simple 4-note voicing can give us so much tension if we just take the time to go through it in different chords on different tunes. So those are kind of the 4 most basic versions of what we'll be working on today. But check it out. There's another couple of chords that I want to go into detail with because I think we're going to find these very useful and very interesting over Alone Together. Alone Together, of course, is in a minor key, which means that we'll have a minor tonic. And with a minor tonic, we're going to need a minor 6 chord. Minor 6 chords are often what we use for minor tonics, or minor 6/9s, depending on it. And we're also going to need a minor 7 flat 5 chord for our 2 chord, right? Also called a half diminished. So let's first talk about the minor 6 chord, and then I want to talk a little bit, maybe controversially, about the half diminished chord. Why is the half diminished always so much trouble? Does anybody notice this? It's always so much to talk about with the half diminished. So our F minor 6, if this was the tonic here, again, we're going to use the 6th instead of the 7th. This is often the case with minor tonics. It's often the case also with major tonics. If the melody is the root, you really don't want the 7th in there because you get stuff like this, right? So the 6 is a little bit more supportive. Not that having the 7th in there is wrong. Nothing's really wrong. And you hear great players do that for sure. But you also hear great players, great composers, great arrangers use that 6th as a way to support the melody even more than with the 7th with that tension. So it's kind of good to know both. At least know that the 6 is a really good option if you're dealing with a tonic chord instead of a 7th. So the shell here instead of 7-3 is 6-3. Right? Doesn't work as well with like minor 7 or dominant 7 chords. You almost never hear that. But with tonic chords like minor 6 chords or even major 6 chords, you hear this shell all the time. So here we have the 6 and the 3rd, followed by the 5th and the 9th for this F minor 6. Check this out. With the root. I mean, that's 4 notes. That's a 4-note voicing. It just doesn't get any prettier than that. That's what I'm saying. These are easy voicings, but they're oh so good. Okay, and then we have the next inversion of that, the 3rd and the 6th, and the flip of the pretty notes too, the 9 and the 5. Working 9 to 5 on those pretty notes. Check out the root. I mean, that's just, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you hear great players even today still play these very simple sparse voicings, and I think they just sound so good. Okay, here's where we're going to get into a little bit of off the beaten path with how we do these voicings. So let's talk about half diminished chords. Are 2 chords in like a minor 2-5-1. So what if we have like a D minor 7 flat 5? So that should say D minor 7 flat 5. So I like to think about these chords often, not always, but often as instead of D minor 7 flat 5 or D half diminished, I think about them as like F minor with a D in the bass. And I know that a lot of musicians in the past have thought about them in the same way. I mean, people have thought about this chord in various ways. Some people just think about it as like F minor. So in other words, if you're going to C minor, right, and you have D minor 7, G7 to C minor, some people just think about F minor, like 4-5-1 instead of 2-5-1 in these minor 2-5-1 cadences. I don't want to get too complicated here, but just note that on the etudes that we're about to do with Alone Together, that we can use our F minor 6 voicings as our D half diminished voicings, right? So when I see like a D minor 7 flat 5 or D half diminished, oftentimes I'm thinking of an F minor 6 voicing. This changes what the structure is of this voicing. So check it out. Here I'm thinking F minor 6. I have the 6 and the 3rd, just like the F minor 6 here before, right? The 6th and the 3rd and the 5th and the root, right? That's actually, if we were to think about it as D minor 7 flat 5, that's root 5. We're kind of flipping the formula, but I really like to think about these sometimes as F minor 6. It makes for really strong voicings. And then the opposite. So how does this sound with a D in the bass? Well, it sounds like that because the D is in the bass. How about here? It sounds great. I think they sound great. Now, on the flip side, we could also do it in the traditional way that we've already been learning, where we have the 3rd and the 7th and some pretty notes on top, including the 5. 5 is, I think, a must for half diminished voicings. Not a must, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I don't know if I like this more than I like this. So we're going to use both in the etude, right? It's something that I like to think about. Instead of D minor 7 flat 5 or D half diminished, a lot of times I'm thinking F minor 6 over D. And I know a lot of older cats think like that too. It's to me, it just is easy for my brain to get good sounding voicings like this. Now there's certainly like minor 7 flat 5 voicings I have in my little bag of voicings as well, but for me, like having both of these, this really brings us closer to our goal of that improvised chorale comping. All right, if this is the kind of stuff that you like to see me teaching, hit the like button. I do a lot of different kinds of stuff around here, and so sometimes it's hard for me to tell what's working or not. Let me know if this works for you, and we'll do more of these. Again, download the PDF here in the description or in the chat to follow along. Let's check out some Alone Together. We're going to break it down here so that we can see how to construct these voicings over an easy tune. Like Alone Together is such a cool tune to work on because it's in a minor key, but it goes through all these like major 2-5-1 movements, goes back to the major. It's so good. Okay, so I included the melody here on top. We're not going to play the melody. I might play the melody later, but we're not going to play it. We're just going to play the chords. But I wanted to have the melody visible here so that we can structure our voicings with the melody in mind. A lot of times I hear pianists that'll play like some very clashy, pretty notes with this kind of style of voicing. If we know what the melody is, then we can craft the pretty notes so they support the melody rather than clash with it. So, like for instance, just like we don't want, that seventh, if there's a root, on the chord, like we don't want here on the A7, right? Like there's the fifth in the melody, so we wouldn't want like the flat 13 because it's really going to kind of clash with that fifth. Again, there's no hard and fast rules with this, but if we're just conscious of this from the beginning, then we can make educated choices and really follow our ears. So let's see if we can find a way to like really make the melody shine using this simple formula. There's only 4 notes. We can change whatever we want. You know what I'm saying? So let's start here with the first A and just go through here with our voicings. Our D minor 6/9, right? First chord. Alone together, right? It's that tune. It's a beautiful tune. So our D minor 6/9 voicing, 3rd and 6th, right? And then 9 and 5. So again, right here, this is a perfect example. So now that we see this melody, we can kind of change. Right, we can maybe move that 9 down to our root, right? There's a clash right there. That's why I have that melody in there, so we can see where we might need to change things. So here we might change this to 3rd and 6th, root and 9. I think either, like I said, either's kind of fine, but it's good to know for sure. Our next chord, our E minor 7 flat 5. Again, I'm thinking about this as G minor 6, right? So I have the 6th and 3rd of G minor, and then the 5th and root of G minor over that E minor 7 flat 5. I know it's a little bit of mental gymnastics, but trust me, it's so helpful. Then our A7, that should be A7 flat 9, not flat 13 there. So that's 7, 3rd, 5, flat 9, bam. And then back to our D minor 6/9. Our E7 flat 5, again, that's G minor 6, going to an A7 flat 13, 7, 3, flat 13 is F natural, and A, the root on top. The D minor 6/9, again, basic voicings here. Our D minor 7 sharp 9, 3rd, 7th, sharp 9, 5. And that 5 there is really helping with the melody. We don't have to change anything for that. Back to a G minor 6/9. And then we'll just take it up to the other inversion. Then the melody goes to the 11. We're going to go down to the 9th here. Check these out. I think this is so beautiful, right? B minor 9, E7 flat 9, G minor 11, little C7 altered there to our F minor 7. Sounds beautiful with the melody. And then a 2/5 to the major. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right, give these a shot. See if you can play around with the pretty notes. Maybe sing the melody. I might play the melody and the bass line here so that you can hear both. But you can really, you can really get to it here. Let's try it. We'll go pretty slowly. 100. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Isn't that great? Let's try it again. Same voicings, just the first A. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So good. Okay, let's check out our second A. So we're going to use our completely different set of voicings here. Remember, there's 2 for each one. So here, we're going to go up for this one, our D minor 6. Again, E minor 7 flat 5. I'm thinking G minor 6 here, A7 flat 9, D minor 6. Again, these are a similar shape, but just the different inversion. D7 flat 9, G minor 6 9, and then we're going to go down. Check this out, a little flip of what we did before. Isn't that great? So B minor 11, E7 alt, G minor 9, and then our C7 sharp 11 flat 9. Beautiful. And then the same turnaround going to the major. Let's try this. I'll play some bass in the melody. This is our second A of Alone Together. Play these chords. Again, rhythm-wise, if you're reading these and you're kind of new to these voicings, just play it straight as it is. You can read it as it is. If you're a little bit more advanced and you kind of have these, comp some rhythms. You know, I love that Red Garland thing of comping on the end of 4 and the end of 2, especially when I'm first learning stuff like 1, 2, 3, and... Just letting it groove and then playing off that. And then coming back to it. Anything you want to do there, just practicing getting these voicings however you want to approach it rhythmically. Let's try it. 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Do it again. Second A, second A. Okay, on to the bridge. Let's do it. Take him to the bridge and the last A. Of course, Alone Together has these 2 long A sections in the beginning, then a short bridge and a short C section. So here, on the bridge, of course, we go to these series of minor 2-5-1s. We're going to go back to the other style of voicing here, where we actually have the 3rd and 7th of the A minor 7 flat 5, with the 5th and the root on top, and then the D7 sharp 9, right? 3, 7, sharp 9, which is F and the A natural, and then to the G minor 6, and then the same thing down here, 7, 3, on the G minor 7 flat 5, 7, 3, 5, root, and then our C13, 3, 7, 9, 13, to our F major 13, right? Just this first chord we learned here as we were doing this, to our turnaround. And then on the C section, back to here. Again, you might change the 9. You don't have to at all. You might change the 9 to the root if it's bothering you. It doesn't bother me. And then our E minor 7 flat 5, which is like that G minor 6, right? That's the chord we're making here. It's the 6th, the 3rd, and the 5th, and the root of G minor 6. I think G minor over E for that one. To our A7 flat 9, to our D minor 6 9. B flat 9, actually it's probably B flat 13, you could call that. A7 flat 13 flat 9, same difference. Again, these very simple 4-note 2+2 voicings. Let's try it from the bridge and the C section. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and... it from the bridge. Here we go. 2, 3, and... make for, as guitar players around here know, these kinds of voicings make for great solo style voicings too. Like you can take a solo using these quite easily, moving around diatonically. Okay, I think that's everything we've got. I think that's all of it. Let's see if we can go back and play the whole tune. This whole etude, again, adding your own rhythm to it, right? You think of your snare drum, taking your snare drum solo here, using your rhythm, but using these very simple voicings, just building up the shell in the left hand, right? The 7th and 3rd, 3rd and 7th, or 6th and 3rd, 3rd and 6th, depending on what you want to do. And then some pretty notes in the right, being, conscious of the melody. Not everything has to be perfectly lined up with the melody, but it helps to be able to know how to support it, or at least make decisions knowing what the melody is. I'll play some bass. You play some chords. Here we go. Do a couple times through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. First day. Second A. So great, aren't they? Here's the bridge. Let's do one more chorus. You got it. 2, 1, 2, 3, and... Second A. Here's the bridge. Last day. go. All right, enough silliness. Aren't those great? They are so elegant. They are so easy, but so good. So again, download the PDF. We also have, oh, there's my boy, Jacques Pepin. Give it up for the great French master there. We're just breaking omelets here. Again, these voicings, like Jacques Pepin's beautifully simple omelet, are things that we can build our entire repertoire of voicings off of. Download the PDF. As I said, we do have an offer today. You can get Jazz Chords for Beginners for $40 off. We're going to put a link here in the description and in the chat so you can save some serious money. That Jazz Chords for Beginners, it deals with exactly what we're dealing with today, but we practice it over the course of several weeks with that course. And I think you can get it for like $40 off, $20 today, something like that. Check out the description for that offer. And then go to openstudiojazz.com to learn more about any of this. Thanks, folks. Super fun. If this is what you want to see more of, hit the like button. If it's your first time here, hit the subscribe and come see us again. Thanks, folks. Till next time, happy practicing.